So thank you everybody for joining. My name is Chris Plex. I'm with the Select Board. We've also got Michelle here. Michelle's going to be walking us through some of the thoughts we've had around Fields and Rec. And I also just want to lay a little bit of a foundation for that, which is that when we got together to set our goals for the year, at the top of the list was infrastructure. So we all know that we need to make investments in our schools. We need to figure out what we're doing with town hall, roads and sidewalks. And of course, what we're here to talk about tonight, which is Field and Rec. And we get a lot of feedback in this area when people come back from away games or when they come back from visiting friends in other towns and they see the investments that other communities are making. So what Michelle's going to walk us through tonight is some information that's going to help us prioritize our own investments. So I'm going to hand it off to Michelle and she's going to talk us through some of that. And I hope everybody's here to speak up and let us know what you think.
Thank you, Chris. So I just want to let everyone know this has been a collaborative effort between the Recreation Department as well as the schools. We have a lot of support behind us, as well as all the youth organizations in town and other committees. So I'm going to walk you through a quick presentation of some of the ideas we have to move things forward. And if you have any questions, I ask that you just use the raise hand feature and we'll get your questions as we move along. I am trying to share my screen, so hang tight. Okay. Is everyone able to see my screen? Yep. Okay. Okay, so once again, thank you for joining us tonight. We're here to talk about fields, courts, and playground. This is a series of public forums we've had on these specific recreation enhancements. So tonight we're going to talk about the Bancroft tennis courts, the Deer Hill multi-purpose field, the Sawyer Street lacrosse wall, and the Beechwood playground. We're going to start with the tennis courts. So many of you know we've been talking about tennis courts for quite some time. And we've been talking about the renovation of the existing courts, as well as perhaps maybe adding some pickleball courts, additional parking. And I think what we've all landed on was the need to just renovate the 6 tennis courts that we have. There are several illustrations here in the presentation that show the dire need that they're in for a renovation. We're proposing renovating the 6 courts, reconstructing the retaining wall, and actually making it accessible to add lighting in the future if we desire. And the reason we're doing that is because it's a lot less expensive to add it now than it is in the future. We are not constructing lights. It is just simply putting the infrastructure in place in the event that in the future, someone does desire to put lights on the site. See, we already have a question. Okay, thank you, Jay. So next we have the sports wall. Many are referring to it as a lacrosse wall. In fact, it really is a sports wall. It's for player training. It allows kids and adults to develop their own game. All of the surrounding communities do have one of these walls. As you can see down in the right-hand corner, that is an illustration of what Scituate has, as well as many other communities. Duxbury, Hingham, Scituate, Marshfield, they all have walls. Several are a lot larger than the one that we're illustrating below, but that is indicative of what we would be putting at Sawyer Street. And people say, you know, why can't you just play off a brick building? Or why can't you grab a friend? And the reality is that everyone's scheduling is so different that if kids want to go play basketball and one kid is left out, well, they can be practicing on the sports wall. They can be practicing soccer, they can be practicing lacrosse, and it is also great for tennis players. And there are many benefits to having a sports wall. It improves reflexes, it allows you to practice your footwork, it's great for muscle memory, and the best thing about it is that you do not need a partner. The estimated price for this is about $100,000 all in. In speaking with Athletic Director Rotundi, he indicated that there is a fund out there started by members of Stu Karn's family, who brought the Cohasset lacrosse team to many championships over the years, and they're willing to fund a portion of this.
And Michelle, I would also add that this is critical for anybody trying to develop lacrosse stick skills. I know I got in a lot of trouble when I was in high school because I was bouncing off the school wall. And I know kids in our lacrosse program have been asked not to do that. So this is also an investment in maintaining our school walls. It gives those lacrosse players a chance to practice in a way that is very consistent and very beneficial for them.
Yes, that is also true. Next, we're going to talk about the multi-purpose field. We've talked about this at length, and it is expanding the original Deer Hill natural grass field. There are no plans to turf this field. It is just expanding what we have there today, because we cannot fit a full-size athletic field there. It's a smaller size. This way, if we expand the field, we can have many other athletic teams play there. It'll be good for lacrosse, soccer, field hockey, and we'd also enhance the softball field that's there today. We are proposing lighting this field. Just like with any athletic lights in town, they'd be regulated. We would have neighborhood meetings to see, you know, what timing works best for the neighborhood. It would also we'd improve drainage up in that area. This would enhance, you know, recreational summer programming, all different youth sporting activities. And the estimated price tag for this is $1.8 million. And I just want to point out that all of these prices are just estimates. We have not gone out to bid yet, but that would be the next step if we do get positive feedback from this presentation. Next,
Michelle, do you want to save questions for the end? We just had one pop up on the chat. We could save it to the end if that's how you want to handle it.
If it has to do with Deer Hill, maybe we should just answer it now.
It was actually the lacrosse wall, Michelle.
Okay.
Someone asked if it was two-sided to help support what we expect will be a lot of activity for that.
Yes, it is two-sided.
That was it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Next, we're going to talk about the Beechwood Playground. This playground has been inspected by our playground inspector. They have indicated that there's a lot of level 3 items that need to be fixed. And if you see within the inspection report, level 3 conditions should be corrected within 2 months. Well, we see level 3 is the fencing needs improvement, the gates, there should be bollards at the parking spots. ADA accessibility needs to be improved. The swings need fixing. Their preschool structure is not adequate for preschoolers. The surfacing, while it's wood chips, the difficulty with the wood chips is accessibility wears down over time. So we are proposing a poured in place pad in lieu of all wood chips to make sure we can maintain that ADA accessibility throughout the playground. You'll see in the top left corner, that's our existing playground, and what's being proposed is in the lower left corner. And you'll see the blue is the poured in place rubber. So we're proposing that because that gives you ADA accessibility to each structure. We are going to incorporate the wood fibers as well. It's less costly if you do a hybrid of wood fiber and poured in place rubber. And this would be delivery and installation of the new structures and fencing. The estimated price tag for this is about $350,000. Recreation has agreed to contribute about $14,000, and that's coming out of their 5K, their turkey trot, if you will, the turkey road race, Thanksgiving road race. And I know there's a fundraising effort that's online at the rec department that we have not advertised, but has seen some donations. Next, we just want to highlight that these are facilities for everyone. It's not just a facility for young children. It's not just facility for soccer or tennis or lacrosse. It encompasses all athletics and recreation activities in town. And I just wanted to highlight on top the basketball courts. We always only had one basketball court at Sawyer Street. And the recreation director and commission came to us and said, why can't we add another basketball court? We did just that. And now the activity down there is tremendous. So by adding a lacrosse wall to that area, just enhances the recreational activities in that area. So we're looking at a total estimated price for all the projects that I have before you at $3.75 million. The engineering services, which would get us bid documents and plans at $250,000 for a total cost of $4 million to enhance all of these recreational activities throughout town. So now questions. Jeremy has a question.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you. So on the back of the Beechwood playground, I know CPC gave money to redo the basketball courts there, and I know nothing's been done. Is that part of the implementation or?
Yeah, so what we're waiting for is once we remove the fencing for the Beechwood playground, that'll give us better access to the basketball courts. So while those are not here because they've already been funded, it is going to renovate that entire area, the basketball courts as well as the playground.
Thank you.
Sure.
Michelle, you have one in the chat too.
Okay.
I'm happy to read it for you, or you could certainly read it yourself, whatever's best for you.
From Caitlin, thank you for this. All of this would be very beneficial to our town. In regards to the playground, what is the realistic timeline to getting it completed? What are the steps going forward? So Caitlin, that's a great question. And what I can tell you is we do have to develop the bid specifications. We will put it out to bid. And our hope is that if we put it out to bid after the funding is in place, which would be after a special town meeting, November 13th, we would then move forward with construction either early spring to allow it playable for the kids in the late spring, early summer months, or we could wait until another summer and have it done in the fall. So that would really be a community decision. The desire, I think, would be to bid it out as soon as possible and have it installed early spring. We have another question from Derek Goodwin.
Hey, Michelle. Hey, Chris. Thank you both. Thanks, Michelle, for the presentation. You mentioned the multi-purpose fields. You actually mentioned implementing drainage, and I saw it in the flyer for the tennis courts. Is that still going to be a consideration there?
Drainage for the tennis courts?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So originally when we were discussing the tennis courts, if you recall, we were discussing 5 tennis courts and 4 pickleball courts. Now what we're talking about is just replacing the existing courts, fixing the drainage around the area, and reconstructing the retaining wall, because we understand that some of the drainage issues is leading to the cracks in the retaining wall. So that will all be addressed.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. We have David McDonough.
Hi, Chris and Michelle. Thanks for putting this.
Oh, what happened? Sorry, Dave.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Thanks for putting this presentation together. It's great to see how these thoughts have advanced over time. I actually had 2 questions. One was on the lacrosse wall, sports wall, the quoted price of $100,000. Does that include the artificial turf?
It does. It does. So the wall itself is fairly inexpensive at about $15,000 to $18,000. It's really the earthwork, the drainage, the additional turfing. And many ask why do you need turf around it? And the simple answer is, if you have a lot of activity on a grass field time and time again, the grass field wears out. And if it's going to be a muddy area, the kids aren't going to use it. So
Yep.
if we're to do it, we should consider doing it the correct way.
I agree. Thanks, and that's why I
Sure.
had asked. The other question I had was, it looks like the proposal is to move to town meeting with a bulk ask for all of these projects. Just knowing how the last town meeting went and the questions that had come up regarding the town hall and the potential other capital expenditures that you had mentioned, Chris, how would that question be answered as to how all of this is being prioritized against the other needs of the town?
So I would characterize it not as prioritizing, but trying to make sure we come to town meeting in the fall with a plan that addresses everything, but in a way that is considerate of the fact that we're Cohasset, we're not Hingham, we're not Duxbury, we're not towns of that size, but we are aware that we have multiple investments that we need to make. So we're trying to come forward with a package. So folks who are in favor of town hall, but not in favor of schools, see that we're working on both as opposed to pitting the interests of one project against another.
That's great, Chris. So are there other similar efforts for those other projects that are ongoing in advance of the November town meeting?
There are, but they're not ready for a public forum yet. We hope they'll be ready soon.
Great, thank you.
Okay. And Derek, do you have another question?
I'm sorry, I failed to lower my hand.
That's okay.
I'm just so excited.
And Jeremy, do you have another question?
I do.
Okay.
My question is, if we do the tennis courts and they have to take out the retaining wall,
Mhm.
would that be like a summer project, or is that gonna interfere with fall season and spring season? Like, because obviously we're gonna lose some of the fields up there.
You will lose a portion of the field. What we've been told is that there is a way to secure it so you would have most of your playing surfaces. So we can talk about that a little bit more as to how much it will impact you. But if all this moves forward, we're hoping that you may have that Deer Hill School to play on.
And the other question for the wall that's gonna be over, it's on Sawyer Street at the library, correct?
Yep.
So is that gonna be in the middle of the field, away from the railroad and the street?
It's not going to be in the middle of the field. There's a location to the right of the basketball courts, if you will, set back a little bit. It's clearly not it's not on top of the train tracks. It's not in the middle of the field, but it is set back because we do still want space for the I think you call them the soccer superstar. What is
Yeah, they used to do it at the Common, and then they moved it down there.
Yeah, so I think the whole idea here in working with the rec director and rec commission was to make sure that that spot still does stay green for the soccer players.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, I think another question. So we have a question from Sarah Croson. As a follow-up to the previous question, does this run the risk that the bundle will be rejected and nothing will get done like so many other proposed expensive projects?
So I'll take that one. I think if the select board is doing our job, and we are trying to do our job, we're going to be putting together a package that everyone can support. I know that's easier said than done, but we want to make sure we're doing something to address all of the different investment needs that we have here in town. We don't want someone saying, I'm not going to approve your school project because I don't benefit from that. I just want you to work on fields and rec. So we're trying to make sure we come forward with a package that works for everyone instead of just trying to target one thing. But yeah, that is a risk that somebody's going to say, I don't want the package, I just want my thing.
And then, so thank you, Chris. We do have another question from Connie Asher. Why have you decided to not include any pickleball courts? Well, Connie, we have not included the pickleball courts in this proposal simply because it's not something that we need funded. The Rec Commission and Rec Director have come up with a plan to potentially put modular pickleball courts at the basketball courts at Sawyer Street. So there'll be modular pickleball courts there for use. But it's not something that needs additional funding, so it's not in this packet. But if you'd like to talk more about it offline, we can engage the Rec Director and provide you more information. Okay, and Jeremy.
Yeah, back to the town funding. Are you guys gonna go through CPC to get any of this funded as a package because of the open space and rec?
There will definitely be conversations with CPC, what CPC prioritizes and how large those contributions are is a conversation with CPC.
Okay, thank you.
And we have Sarah. Sarah, go ahead.
Hi, sorry, just another question about the bundle. So when the bundle is brought up for discussion, is everything going to be proposed to be done at one time, or will there be a schedule? Sorry if this was already answered there.
It's a great question. So it depends on how ready we are for each of the proposals to put it forward to town meeting. If we have something that's half baked, I don't think we'll put that forward, but we want to at least make sure people understand the progress is being made. We don't want people to think that we're going to move forward with 3 projects and then forget about schools for a couple of years. That's not the way we want to operate. We want to make sure we're taking care of everybody. So hopefully we'll have more of a package with a lot of detail by the time we get to town hall in the fall. But if we don't have a full detailed package of everything, we will at least provide information about what's in process and how quickly we expect those things to move forward. And if you were talking about actual construction, we'll move as quickly as we can on everything, but different projects take different amounts of time. We need to go out to bid for things. We need to work out construction. So we'll move as quickly as we can, both with the proposal as a package and with the construction.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have a question from Vince Thornton. With the current lights on the basketball courts, is there a possibility to provide lights on the sports wall, at least one side if possible? Vince, I don't have an answer to that question. I don't know if Tim Bernica can answer that or if Ted Carroll can take that question.
Hey, Michelle, it's Tim. I don't have an answer. I do know that what I could assume, because we did this at Beechwood. The Beechwood Neighborhood Association put some money towards putting up a light that we shine towards center field of the Beechwood baseball field. And it was for when we put the ice rink out there in the winters. And all we really did is just kind of added a strong enough light to the existing light pole that was up there and the cross beam that was up there to let the light shine down on that particular spot. So I would say it's definitely feasible. But I think we probably have to check with the neighbors across the street, just because that would be like a new brightness coming from a closer light than the light across closest to the playground that shines towards their house. So there might be something there, but I mean that's all negotiable and workable, I would think.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions, comments, feedback? So without any other questions, I want to thank everyone for attending tonight. I'd also like to encourage everybody to attend special town meeting. We do have the date set, it's November 13th. We will have a series of meetings with other committees in town. Of course, this is the first stop. We are now going to go to Capital Budget Committee. We'll go to CPC, we'll go to advisory, and again, we'll have to go to the select board. So I encourage your participation along the way. This is exciting. I think this would be a great recreation enhancement for the community. And I thank you for your support and your time. So
And Michelle, before we wrap, I just want to thank you for all the work you're doing on all of these different projects to advance these. So thank you for doing that. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, well, everyone have a great night and thanks again.